Robert Mitchum was never shaped by comfort or privilege, and that reality followed him into every role he ever played. Born on August 6, 1917, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, his early life was marked by loss when his father died in a tragic railroad accident, before Robert turned 2. Raised during the Great Depression by a struggling single mother, Mitchum grew up fast and rough. As a teenager, he drifted across America by freight train, worked punishing jobs, and even spent time in a Georgia chain gang after a vagrancy arrest. These experiences hardened him, but also grounded him. They gave him a worldview built on survival, instinct, and honesty. Long before Hollywood noticed him, Mitchum had already lived several lives. That raw authenticity later became his greatest asset on screen, allowing him to portray tough, morally complex characters with a truth audiences could feel rather than admire from a distance. An accidental star with a poet's soul. Before becoming a screen icon, Robert Mitchum never planned on stardom. He supported his young family however he could, including ghostwriting for astrologers and quietly writing poetry, revealing a reflective side, few associated with his tough image. Acting came almost by accident in the early 1940s, when he took small roles simply to pay the bills. Yet casting directors quickly noticed something rare in him: effortlessness. He didn't perform. He existed. His breakthrough came in 1945 with the story of G.I. Joe earning him an Academy Award nomination and immediate respect. Mitchum's style was understated, defined by restraint and presence rather than theatricality. He didn't chase applause or approval. His deep voice, half-lidded stare, and unhurried rhythm created characters who felt lived in. That natural realism made him one of Hollywood's most believable leading men, and quietly separated him from actors who relied on polish alone. The face of film noir and moral complexity. Throughout the late 1940s and 1950s, Robert Mitchum became inseparable from the film noir era, embodying its weary heroes and conflicted anti-heroes. Films like Out of the Past, Crossfire, and The Big Steal showcased his ability to convey danger, regret, and longing without raising his voice. Mitchum didn't chase heroic perfection. Instead, he embraced flawed men, shaped by bad choices and hard truths. Audiences trusted him because he never pretended to be better than the world he inhabited. His characters felt human, not mythic. Yet, Mitchum was never confined to noir alone. He shocked audiences with his chilling performance as Reverend Harry Powell in The Night of the Hunter, proving he could embody pure menace just as convincingly. That performance cemented his reputation as an actor who understood darkness without glorifying it, making his work both unsettling and unforgettable. A rebel who refused Hollywood illusions. Off-screen, Mitchum carried the same unfiltered authenticity that defined his acting. He had little patience for Hollywood pretension, and often mocked the industry's obsession with image. When arrested for marijuana possession in 1948, a scandal by the standards of the time, Mitchum refused to apologize for being human. Instead of destroying his career, the incident reinforced his reputation as a man who lived by his own code. He once joked that people admired his walk when he was really just holding his stomach in, a line that perfectly captured his dry humor. Mitchum didn't cultivate rebellion for attention. It was simply who he was. He believed sincerity mattered more than reputation, and that attitude earned him lasting respect. As he aged, he transitioned smoothly into mature roles, continuing to deliver quiet, powerful performances well into television and later cinema. The woman who grounded his wild spirit behind Robert Mitchum's restless life stood one constant force: Dorothy Spence. They met as teenagers in Delaware during the early 1930s, long before fame entered the picture. Their relationship endured years of separation, poverty, and uncertainty as Mitchum drifted west, chasing opportunity. Dorothy remained steady, building her own independence while maintaining their bond through letters filled with humor and hope. They married quietly in 1940 without spectacle, committing to a life built on loyalty rather than glamour. As Mitchum's career soared, Dorothy became his anchor, raising their 3 children and shielding their family from Hollywood chaos. Friends often noted that without her, Mitchum might have burned out early. She represented stability, grounding him through decades of fame. Their marriage, lasting 57 years, became one of Hollywood's quiet success stories, rooted not in image, but in genuine partnership. A family built beyond the spotlight. Robert and Dorothy Mitchum built a family that reflected their values rather than Hollywood expectations. Their sons, James and Christopher Mitchum, followed their father into acting, each carving out careers shaped by hard work rather than shortcuts. Their daughter, Patrine, chose a different path as a writer, later documenting her father's life with clarity and honesty. Mitchum never forced legacy onto his children. He encouraged independence, believing identity had to be earned, not inherited. At home, he was less the movie star and more the storyteller, the listener, the observer. Despite his screen toughness, he valued loyalty, humility, and fairness above fame. Those values shaped his relationships, both on and off set. To Mitchum, character mattered more than reputation, and family mattered more than applause. That perspective kept him emotionally grounded in an industry that often rewarded illusion over truth. A professional clash of values, not vanity. Among the many actors Mitchum encountered, there were a few whose philosophies sharply differed from his own, including George Peppard. Their tension was never theatrical or public, but rooted in contrasting approaches to the craft. Mitchum valued instinct, restraint, and authenticity. He believed acting should feel effortless, not overworked. Peppard, by contrast, was known for intensity, preparation, and polish. While both were talented, their methods reflected different artistic temperaments. Mitchum reportedly struggled with what he perceived as excessive self-consciousness and performative behavior, traits that clashed with his own natural style. It wasn't personal animosity as much as a fundamental difference in values. Mitchum respected professionalism, but distrusted ego. He believed humility toward crew members and fellow actors revealed a person's true character. In that sense, their disconnect symbolized a broader divide between lived authenticity and cultivated image in Hollywood. Authenticity as a moral compass. What mattered most to Robert Mitchum was not fame, box office numbers, or public approval, but authenticity. He admired people who treated everyone with equal respect, from directors to crew members. His quiet criticism of certain peers stemmed less from rivalry and more from disappointment when he sensed insincerity or arrogance. Mitchum believed talent meant little without decency. He once remarked that how a person treats those with no power says everything. That belief guided his career choices and personal relationships. Even when observing others struggle professionally, Mitchum never celebrated decline. Instead, he viewed it as a natural consequence of broken trust. To him, Hollywood wasn't cruel by accident. It responded to behavior. Mitchum's enduring legacy came not just from his performances, but from the consistency of his character. He didn't chase relevance. He earned it by staying true to himself. A legacy that outlived the industry. As Mitchum aged, his presence remained magnetic, whether in films like The Friends of Eddie Coyle or television epics such as The Winds of War. He never tried to reinvent himself for trends. Instead, he leaned into experience, letting time add weight to his performances. Audiences sensed that what they were watching wasn't acting alone, but lived wisdom. When Mitchum passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 1st, -97 from complications related to lung disease. He left behind more than a filmography. He left a standard. A reminder that authenticity endures longer than image. That restraint can be more powerful than spectacle. And that quiet integrity often speaks louder than public approval. His career spanned more than half a century, yet his relevance never faded because it was rooted in truth, not performance. The man who refused to be anything else. Robert Mitchum's story is not one of perfection, but of consistency. He didn't pretend to be a saint, nor did he apologize for being human. His conflicts, opinions, and occasional friction with others reflected a man deeply committed to honesty in an industry built on illusion. When he disagreed with someone, it was rarely personal. It was philosophical. He believed in the real over the artificial, the earned over the manufactured. That belief shaped his career, his family, and his legacy. Mitchum never chased immortality, yet he achieved it by simply being himself. Long after trends fade and reputations shift, his work remains. Because it feels lived, not performed. In the end, Robert Mitchum wasn't just part of Hollywood history. He was proof that authenticity once earned never needs defending.